Good morning, Year 10. So today I'm going to show you quickly how to use two different materials. The first one that I've got some quinoa. Now the quinoa, you might have that in school, you might have couscous. The same technique also applies to sand. So this is probably the quickest and the easiest texture to apply. So sand, couscous, quinoa, anything basically with a really small grain. And what we're going to start off with doing is we're going to do this section. Oh, it's gone a bit blurred. There we go. Now, the most important thing I would say when you're applying something with a very fine texture, so it's small, it's a lot smaller than rice, is that you get the glue perfect. Because if you don't get the glue perfect the first time round, then when you pour that material on top, it's not going to be accurate. So use a bit more glue than you have been, and make sure you go right up to the edges. It should be a little bit like a puddle. The PVA glue that we've got isn't thin, so it won't run out of the area which you've selected. Slowly edge it towards the edge as well. Don't start off at the edges, and then that way it's going to be more accurate. And as I mentioned in my last video, the printing plates which demonstrate high levels of accuracy will be awarded the highest grades and will print the best. We want to see a really clear distinction between each section, and to do that you need to be precise. Sorry about sniffling, I've got a cold. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. Also, thank you for uploading your progress photographs so far to Firefly. If you haven't already done so, can you make sure that you do that in today's lesson and tomorrow's? It's really important that I see how you're getting on. So just attach a photo in the last 10 minutes or so of the lesson, and then it's a lot easier to stay in contact. Give you any tips or advice if you need it. Nearly there. So do the whole section, don't just do it a little bit. Okay, it's quite hard for you to see. Then this part is quite messy, so I would get a large piece of A3 paper. I haven't got a large piece of A3 paper, so I'm just going to use some kitchen roll. And your materials might be in cups, but I'm just going to pour mine straight out the packet. Miss Baker will have provided some materials for you to do this, but there's no reason why you can't bring your own in. So if you are doing couscous today or sand and there isn't any quinoa, then get some quinoa, and then no one else is in the class will be as varied as yours. So pour it on like so, and then I would give it a tap, not too hard, just to make sure it is stuck, and then simply shake it off, and there you go. If you've got any parts which you don't want on, then just go over those, and don't worry about the rest of it falling off. Don't put PVA glue over the top, because we actually use something called button polish to get everything to be secure, and it won't take the texture away. And then all you need to do with this is you can get like that, and then you can pour that back into whatever container it is that your materials are in. So that's the first thing that I would like everyone to do. The second thing that I'm going to start to show you, but I'm not going to go into great depth, I will do another video for tomorrow's lesson, is string. So I've got this embroidery string here. And I'm going to pick a section. I'm going to go for this hammer. Again, you want quite a bit of glue on your paintbrush, and you want to do a nice thick line. Now, if you don't have enough glue with the string, it can end up extremely fiddly. So make sure that you do a nice thick line. The string gives a very clear outline to each section. You can, in fact, outline everything in string if you wish, and then add the materials inside. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to show you this part here. So I've still got my string attached. And I'm going to use the end of my paintbrush instead of my hands. Get that off. Right. Then I'm going to hold it. I'm going to just tap it on in certain places. If you get glue on, wipe it off on your hand. If you go into a corner, hold it, and then curve it. Again, wipe off any excess. So you're almost guiding it. Okay, now, move this up. Now I've got it like this. Let it hang off, and then go in with the scissors. Don't try and lift it up, otherwise it can make it really, really confusing. I'm also going to outline the rest of the top of this hammer. Now there's so many things that you can do with string. You can get it to go in towards the centre like a spiral. You can do it in lines. It's a really versatile material, so that in itself needs its own video, which I will create and upload for tomorrow's lesson when you've got the double. So if Miss lets you watch it in her lesson, then great. If not, when you've got Miss Daljeet last lesson, you'll be following that. So all the string is at the back of the room. Well, it was in a tray. Again, don't just use one type. That's embroidery thread. You could use actual string. You could use the kind of Hessian string, which is the brown one. That's going to show up with a different texture. You might use thinner cotton. The only thing that you need to remember with the thread is that colour doesn't matter. Okay, so don't worry about whatever colour it is. You won't actually see the colour of anything on your printing plate because we're going to ink it all up black. Okay, right, so that is done. I am going to start off here. Can be a bit fiddly. If you're getting frustrated, I would just say give yourself a minute. It's not going to dry in a minute. And make sure that you've wiped any excess glue off your paintbrush, because that can have a big effect as well. instead of you just placing it down like that, it will actually be sticking to it. I'm just going to do the outside first, like so. Again, I've left that overlapping, and then I'm just going to go in with my scissors. If you're finding it hard to cut as well, you can actually let it dry and cut it off next week. It just depends whether you need that string for the other sections, which I do, so I can't do that. Then I'm going to go back in there. If it starts to unravel, put a little bit of glue on it. Only if it starts to unravel. Sure you get the idea now. Just got one last piece. So all you need to do today is use the quinoa, couscous, sand, whatever you've got available, and do some sections of that, and then do some sections with the string as well, and you're just outlining with the string today. Okay, so you've got something that looks like that, and then I'll show you how to make that a little bit more complex next lesson, and you've got the other texture there. I'll zoom out a little bit. Okay, brilliant. Don't forget to upload a photograph, and if you're stuck at all, feel free to email me. Thanks, boys.